What is going on, everybody? Back today with some more training camp action. Friday was day 8 of on-field action for your Miami Dolphins. Another strong showing for Tua Tagovailoa in the offense. We can get used to that. A new wide receiver gets his name called, really starts to emerge a little bit from what we saw in minicamp and OTAs. But we did get a little bit of an injury scare in the secondary. We're going to get to all of that and more. But before we do, I want to hear from you. Your thoughts on the action from today, the action in general through 8 Miami Dolphins on-field sessions this year's training camp. But let's get things started today with a video highlight. I believe I have 3 of them today. The first one is Raheem Mostert catching a 3rd and goal touchdown from Tua Tagovailoa. This was towards the end of practice. Tua hits him as soon as he gets out of that break. Mostert takes it the last half yard. Not a super complex play by any means, but at the end of the day, we're getting running backs active and used in the passing game. And I know a lot of the viewers out there have been calling for that. So good to see that. More running back action as well. Eichenberg, who had that drop in the end zone for a touchdown in Thursday's practice, bounced back a little bit today, showed that he can get it up done through the middle, got a 15-yard carry up the middle. Later had a touchdown run where he really used that speed that he has to really spread out the defense. And once he had that crease, foot in the dirt, take it the rest of the way. And Eichenberg, yeah, he's known for his speed. He's not the guy that's going to break a ton of tackles. But despite his size, we've talked about this before, the dude can pack a bit of a punch. He is a little bit surprising as to how much force he really puts into that. And that's what we saw on tape a bunch from him at Texas A&M. And then we're seeing it today in training camp practice. So good for Eichenberg bouncing back there after having that drop yesterday. In goal line red zone work, 3 more guys had rushing touchdowns. That was Salvon Ahmed, Alec Ingold, and Jeff Wilson. Let's move on to the wide receivers because we talked about one that had himself a little bit of a day, and a day that we haven't seen from him since OTAs and from minicamp. And that was Robbie Chosen, had a 60-yard catch from Tua, about 50 air yards on that one. Later had a 40-yarder from Mike White. Now, some people on that play think Emmanuel Ogbah would have had a sack. Regardless, play went on. Mike White stepped up, got a 40-yard completion to Robbie Chosen. Let's take I don't have video of the second one. I do have the one from Tua, though. And I love these play concepts that the Dolphins have. So we've seen this a bunch last year, actually. I'll let you watch the video and then I'll show it again now that you know where the play is going. But they start off in that shotgun formation and then the running back comes around and they basically do like a fake sweep from shotgun. And a lot of times they give that. So it's a very similar look to what could be a run play, but the Dolphins turn into a pass play. And that's kind of a staple of a Mike McDaniel offense. So you'll see the fake to the running back. You got Chosen, who is just cruising down the field. You got Tua with the bomb. You got a nice 50, 60-yard chunk play right there. So we love to see that. But like I said, probably Chosen Anderson's best day of actual training camp so far. But this is very interesting because I got on the horn and was talking to one of my connections today that said there's been a wide receiver needy team that's been calling the Dolphins. That team is the Broncos. So asking about some availability, obviously nothing right now currently in the works, just kind of kicking the tires, seeing what's available. But keep your eye on them as a potential team because we got a little bit of a surplus with Ced Wilson, Azukama, Berrios, who the Dolphins have basically said off limits. But regardless, there's some wide receivers out there if a team is needing. And man, the Denver Broncos need some wide receivers right there. So like I said, nothing really in the works right now, just a nugget that I'm able to share with you today. Going back to the wide receivers, Jaylen Waddle, your orange jersey wearer yesterday, picked right back up on it. Picked up a 3rd and 15 on a throw that was short of the sticks from Mike White. But what does that tell you? It tells you speed kills. And when you got guys that it's 3rd and 15 and you can throw short of the sticks and you can still rely on these athletic wide receivers to pick it up, what a luxury. What a speedy offense that we have with him, with Hill, with A-Chain. Gotta love that. Did have a 17-yarder from Tua towards the end of practice, and then added another touchdown at the end of practice from Tua and Travis Wingfield of the Miami Dolphins Drive Time podcast. He described that one as basically a carbon copy of the play that we used to beat the Baltimore Ravens. But I do have video of the first one that I talked to. You're going to love this play if you haven't seen it yet already, because they bring the house. Tua kind of does like that little step back fadeaway. And look at that bucket toss right there to Waddle in the end zone. It looks like the ball's just lobbed in there, and you can tell there's still a little bit on that because that safety is busting ass and he still can't get over there. So nice to see, obviously, Jaylen Waddle continuing to make plays, and that connection with Tua goes back to the Bama days. Man, they are just connecting these last couple of days in practice. Gotta love to see that. Speaking of Braxton Berrios, one of those guys, kind of the leader in the clubhouse right now for that wide receiver 3 role. 20-yard completion from Mike White. Later did catch a 5-yard touchdown from Tua against Bryce Thompson. And that one, kind of a rainy practice session today. The second half was pretty damn wet. That one was in the rain. Looks like that one to Waddle was in the rain as well. And I won't spend too much time on it, but why that's important, go back to that game against the Titans a couple of years ago where we struggled in that inclement weather when the ball was wet. Ball was floating out of Tua's hand. The offense really wasn't in sync. We have those questions in the timing offense when the conditions aren't perfect. That's why we get to play in South Florida and have these kind of test runs. So love to see that. Freddie Swain had a touchdown from Tua and some goal line red zone work. And then an injury update from yesterday because we saw Ezukama leave practice early. He did not practice again today, saw working on the sidelines. Tight end in a battle that we've talked about every day that's just kind of wide open for the taking right now. Durham Smythe was left wide open on a completion from Tua. By all sounds of it, looks like it was another no-look pass from Tua. And for the second straight day, I do not have video of the no-look pass. This one I just didn't have available. Yesterday's, like I said, that's on me. Got to step up my game there. Undrafted free agent Julian Hill had a notable 25-yard reception from Mike White. Mike White also noted for having one of his better days in camp as well. Good to see that because we all know Tua's injury history. If we need a backup quarterback to emerge, we need someone that could step in and be there for an extended period of time. So we're going to see whether it's Skyler, whether it's Mike White. We need someone that we can trust if something were to happen to QB1. And then Eric Soibert with a couple of back-to-back plays that didn't bode well for him. Had a drop pass from Tua. Very next play, committed a false start. Committed 5 false starts yesterday, not just him, but the offense in general. But he had one today. And like I said, this competition is just wide open, and it makes me think it's just kind of a shame that a guy like Tanner Connor is on the PUP list right now because we haven't been hearing a ton from Elijah Higgins. And then a lot of our other guys are just kind of blocking tight ends. So you get an occasional completion to a guy like Durham Smythe or Tyler Kroft because end of the day, the defense isn't really trying to take that away. So it's a shame that a guy like Tanner Connor's on the PUP list, but something to keep an eye on as our tight end group just kind of is average. And it's towards the bottom of the league. I'm going to be honest right there. Let's move on to the offensive line. Terron Armstead participated in 11's group drills for the first time this camp. Like I said yesterday, I don't mind that. Just do it sparingly. We need him available in September more than we need his presence in these training camp practices. One of the beat reporters, I forgot who it was. I think it might have been Barry Jackson, talked about there's a clear rotation at left guard with the ones right now. And he couldn't say who it was, but I'll tell you who it is. You can probably assume it's Liam Eichenberg and it's Isaiah Wynn. Something to keep an eye on. They want Liam Eichenberg so bad to win this job. But if performance isn't there, Isaiah Wynn is kind of nipping at the heels right now. Move on to the defense. Jalen Phillips was your orange jersey wearer of the day. He had 2 sacks on Thursday. Another sack today on Tua in 11s. Numerous pressures reported. Him getting to the quarterback is becoming a thing. Him continuing to be a nuisance at edge rusher is continuing to be a thing. Not great for our offense, but at the end of the day, that is perfect. That's exactly what we want to hear from Jalen Phillips as he enters year 3. Emmanuel Ogbah, probably his best training camp performance of the day. 2 or 3 sacks, like I said, depending on who you ask on that one from Mike White. Notable bull rush on Austin Jackson, pushed him right into the quarterback. Shared another sack later with Raekwon Davis as well. And then Jalen Twyman had a sack on Skylar Thompson. And then another injury update from yesterday because we saw Bradley Chubb leave the end of practice yesterday. He was back, full participant today. Linebackers and secondary left, we'll talk about Channing Tindall because for the second straight practice, we're kind of stacking up some positive reports on Channing Tindall, which we don't need him maybe to be an outright stud, like the stud that he has flashed at points in times, especially during his time at Georgia. We just need to know that we can contribute and he can contribute and we can rely on him in that fashion. Fill the run lane on a play from the 2-yard line. stuff the ball carrier before he could get into the end zone. That's what you want to see from a thumper. Had another tackle for a loss, had a pass defense against Cedric Wilson on a throw from Skylar Thompson as well. In the secondary, so Jalen Ramsey back on the field again today, not playing, obviously. But the news from Jalen Ramsey is that he shed the crutches, doesn't have a knee brace, basically just wearing a compression sleeve. Dude is going to go out there and just crush this rehab that he's going on right now. So good to see him out there coaching up the group and learning with the guys. The injury that we talked about, though, Cam Smith, kind of the training camp darling so far, the rookie of training camp, whatever you want to label him as, walked off gingerly with a trainer early in practice, did not come back. It appears that he kind of slipped on something towards the end of the end zone. Someone referred to it as like a sidewalk area. Doesn't seem ideal playing conditions. Maybe we just don't practice over there. I was told that the team doesn't expect it to be too serious. I haven't seen any reports since. Keep an eye on that. The Dolphins do scrimmage on Saturday, which is tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this. Hopefully he's able to participate in that, but worth noting that he had a very short amount of practice today. Travis Wingfield, once again, noted multiple positive plays from Noah Igbenogany. Said that this was Noah's best practice of what's been a pretty damn good overall training camp for him. Now, I'm not crossing my fingers. I'm not holding my breath or anything. I'm going to keep my expectations in check when it comes to Noah Igbenogany, because we've seen this, for 3-4 years now already. Just need to report what I'm seeing out there. So, like I said, keep expectations in check. Good news is, you know what? If he makes it, maybe Vic Fangio has found something has clicked. We'll wait and see on that, though. Couple of last things. Javon Holland had a hit on Braxton Berrios to deny him of the goal line, knocked him right before he was able to cross. And then Kader Kohu and Tino Ellis both had PBUs today as well. That is what I've got. We've got a scrimmage tomorrow, Dolphins fans. Really looking forward to that one. Like I said, subscribe if you haven't already. Go ahead, drop your thoughts, your comments in the section. That is what it's there for. But until then, Miami Dolphins fans, fins up.